everybody. I'm here to talk today about gatekeeping and how to spot a fake tarot reader. So, there's been a TikTok video that's been going around, not just on TikTok, but people here on YouTube have responded to as well about how to spot a fake tarot reader. Now, I'm not going to link that particular TikTok. I don't want to kind of feed into that particular algorithm, but if you do want to see it, there is a really wonderful response video from Ethony'a. I'm going to link her video below where she addresses each of the things that this particular person says. And it's a really excellent video, so I do encourage you, if you haven't already seen it, to go see it. And I know other people have talked about this particular TikTok video as well. So in this TikTok, this woman who is she says she's a professional tarot reader. I have no reason to believe that she's not. Talks about how to spot a fake tarot reader. But the things she talks about are very arbitrary, and I just find like quite silly. Now, like I said, Ethony and a lot of other people have responded to each individual thing she said. But what I wanted to talk about more is sort of some of the misinformation that's going around about the tarot. Also, just the idea of like gatekeeping the tarot, like who can read the tarot, what the right way to read the tarot is, all of these kind of notions. And I think that there's always been a little bit of this, and it's come, it's been expressed in different ways, I think, across time. Even in my lifetime, I've seen these kind of things. But I think that it's important to talk about this because I think it's an issue that's becoming kind of more of a thing, especially in the age of social media. There's lots of people with lots of different opinions, and unfortunately, the way that the algorithms work is that the more controversial the thing you say, the more likely your video is going to get put out there. It's kind of like people need to say more and more outrageous things in order to get views, because people see that, they react to it, and so it sort of feeds into the algorithm, because the algorithm goes, oh, people like this, and so it pushes more controversial videos, and so people are encouraged to make more controversial videos, and on it goes, right? So in this particular video, some of the things she says are things like, if someone shuffles the cards too roughly, they're not a real tarot reader. What does somebody shuffling cards, like how they shuffle cards, have anything to do with how good of a tarot reader they are? Absolutely nothing. Now, I tend to be a gentle shuffler, but that's just because I like to keep my cards in pretty good condition. I just tend to be like a gentler person, but I would never like say something, the way somebody shuffles cards makes them good or a bad reader. Everybody shuffles differently. Everybody, has different abilities as well as far as like how they shuffle. Like if you have little hands and you have a big tarot deck, you're not going to be able to like riffle shuffle it, right? Like everyone does it differently, and that's totally okay. It has nothing to do with how you read the cards. Another thing she said was that if there is like loud rock or rap music in the background, that person's not a real tarot reader, because the environment should be quiet. Personally, I find a quiet environment is better for reading a tarot reading for me. It allows me to focus more on the person and on the cards I'm reading. However, people don't always have the luxury of being in that environment. And if you're in a party situation, you're reading at a party or at a club or something, you're not going to have control over the music. Also, everybody's different. Maybe some people like having that kind of music. It has nothing to do with how well you read the cards. Like all of the things she said seemed completely arbitrary and not really having anything to do with how well someone reads the cards or not. And I think that these kind of things are just, it's very much about like the way I do things is better than the way everyone else does or other people do it. And that's just a matter of preference and taste. It has nothing to do with whether or not somebody is good at reading the cards or not. To me, there's like professional and unprofessional, right? And to me, if I was to say how to spot a fake reader, I'd be more talking about like scams, like people who are scamming people. So, for example, anyone that direct messages you and says, oh, I just need to do a reading for you, I just had a feeling, that is probably a scammer pretending to be something else. And as we've seen in the past few years throughout kind of the tarot and astrology and psychic community, there have been a lot of these fake scammers popping up, pretending to be people they're not. I've had it happen to me. I think everyone I know has had it happen to them at least once. And messaging the people that you follow, pretending to be you. Like, it's horrible. Those people are fake because, well, they're scam artists, right? Or I'd be more worried about, somebody who reads the cards and then tells you you have a terrible curse put upon you and, pay me this money and I will release the curse from you. That's obviously a scam. That is a scam. So that's what I'm more concerned about, is like scam artists scamming people out of their money. By the way, I will never direct message you and say, oh, I just feel like you need to read it. Professionals don't do that, okay? So if anybody does that, they're not a professional. And then too, I would say, like, the only other thing I'd be concerned about is if somebody is not ready yet to read for others. So let's say somebody, they just started reading the tarot. They are still having to look in the book for the meanings, which is totally fine when you're a beginner. Nothing wrong with that. But then they start charging people for readings and they're doing that. They're looking out of the book. I would say that that person is not ready yet. It's not that they're a bad reader. It's just that they're a beginner reader. And I mean, that's the way I learned. That's the way I started doing that, reading cards. I started doing that for like my family and friends. And then over time, I learned the cards. And it wasn't like I didn't start reading for money for a long time later. But everyone's ready at different times. Some people are really quick at learning, other people aren't. And I wouldn't say that makes someone a fake reader if they're looking at the book. It just means that they haven't memorized the cards yet. And that's fine. That just means they're a beginner. But there's a lot of misinformation going around. And again, I think a lot of it is just to get eyes on videos. So people say these outrageous things. But there is a lot of gatekeeping around, like, who should and shouldn't read the cards. And this is not new, but I think it's accelerated or at least made more visible because of social media. So when I was younger, in the 90s, when I started reading cards way back in the early 90s, the big thing was there were myths like, you can't purchase your own tarot deck. You have to be gifted your first deck. And that myth is still around. Totally false. If you have to wait till somebody gives you a deck, you might be waiting a long time. I think that one is like, I bought my first decks. I never had any issues. That is a myth. I think it came from earlier days when there was sort of more stigma around reading the cards and tarot, that people kind of wanted to keep it as a thing that only certain people knew how to do. So if somebody gave you the cards and taught you that, then you were taught by somebody. It was kind of a weird form of gatekeeping. By putting this superstition around it. And then I heard superstitions too, like you must wrap it in a silk cloth and anything other than that, and you must keep it in a wooden box. There are all these different things about how you should contain the cards to keep their energy. You know what? Keep your cards however you like to keep your cards. I personally either keep them in the original box if the box is sturdy, or in a bag or another box. But that's just, again, because I like to keep my cards nice. But they're your cards. Do whatever you want with them. Oh, the other myth was that you should sleep with them under your pillow, but I would worry about wrecking my cards as well. So there were all these myths like that, and some of them are still around. I have seen some of them still on TikTok and some of the other sort of short video platforms. Like I've seen some stuff on Reels and things. And then there's one about who can and can't read the cards. So there's ideas that you have to be a woman to read the cards correctly. Anyone can read the cards. It doesn't matter. Or the idea there was going around for a while last year on TikTok was that the tarot cards are Romani, and only Romani people can read tarot cards. Anything else is cultural appropriation. Okay, first of all, the tarot cards are not Romani. They come from Italy, and then they spread to France, and then to the rest of Europe. They are European cards. Anybody can read them. I do not believe that only certain people can, do certain forms of divination. Like, that's just nonsense. And also, it's romantic. It sounds, it sounds nice that, it came through this lineage and blah, blah, blah. Right? But it's just not true. It's not true that tarot cards are Romani. They're not. They're not Romani. Anyone can read them. They are European. That is a well-documented history. There's not in dispute. It is what it is. But it's again about certain people trying to claim ownership over it, either in who can read it, or how you can read it, or who gets access to something. And I think that's about like trying to maintain power over over something, or the illusion of power over something, trying to control others, or trying to make it feel like you are so much better than someone else. And that's all based in insecurity. Anyone can read the tarot cards. Anybody can learn them. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your background is. Anyone can learn the cards. And everybody has a different style of learning, of reading cards as well. Like I read cards, but I go to other card readers because I appreciate their style. I like, and different people will read in different ways. Some people are more traditional. Some people are more psychologically based. Some people are more intuitive. And that's what makes it great, is that we all approach it a little bit differently. And I think that's really, really wonderful. The other thing is, I was going to say I did once have a fake tarot reading. And by that, this guy, when I was younger, and I was at sort of this pagan type event, and this guy was like, "Oh, you're learning, you're reading tarot cards. I read tarot cards too. You read for me, I'll read for you." So I read for him, and then he pulled out the cards, and it was very obvious to me right away that he was not reading the cards, in that he was trying to guess things about me, because the things he said had nothing to do with the meanings of the cards in any shape or form, way, shape, or form. Also, it was like he was asking leading questions that had nothing to do with the cards on the table. And it was like he was trying to question, figure me out. Like it was like a weird, like I think he was trying to pick me up. It didn't work though, obviously. And I was just like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So I would say that is the one time that I had a fake tarot reading, but that is kind of a different situation. But I think that, tarot is accessible to everybody. Lenormand, oracle cards, like whatever you read, don't let somebody else tell you that you're not the right person to read the cards, or the way you're doing it is wrong. As long as you're putting effort into learning, everybody's got their own style. And whether you're learning from a book, or from a teacher or course, or you're learning from, YouTube videos, or whatever it is, I think as long as you're putting effort into learning, you're going to develop your own style and your own way of doing things. That's just the natural way to do stuff. I'm trying to think of any other things I want to address. Oh, the idea that you have to be certified. You don't have to be certified. Now, if you want to be, there's nothing wrong with that either. Some people really like to have a structured course and feel like they have guidance along the way. Like I teach tarot on my Patreon. Some people have courses online. Some people give you a certification when you pass. Some people like that stuff. They like that structured learning, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally, totally fine. But don't let someone talk you into you have to if you don't want to, or you can't afford it, because they're usually just trying to sell you something anyway. So also don't listen to that one as well. So that's my thoughts on gatekeeping of the tarot, who can and can't read the cards. I'm really glad to see that the tarot has taken off and it's really popular again. I've seen it kind of rise and fall in popularity. So it's always nice when it becomes popular, because we get way more decks out. And it's so nice to see the variety of decks that we have now. It's great to see not just a variety of readers putting their own spin on tarot, but also like artists and writers coming in. They're all putting their own point of view on things and coming at it in their own way from all these different, backgrounds and things. And I think that's wonderful. I think the more the merrier. I think it's really great. Let me know what your thoughts are. What myths have you heard, or what have people told you that is gatekeepery about the tarot? I want to know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested, you can check out my Patreon, of course, where I am doing witchcraft and tarot and astrology videos, if you're interested in that. And as well, you can check out my Etsy shop. I think I'm going to be moving away from Etsy at some point because their fees are so high, but I am still doing readings there if you want to get reading for me. And I also started doing, this is just something I'm starting to do, is live readings over Facebook. Like doing a Facebook video call and doing a reading one-on-one with someone. So if you're interested in that at all, you can go to my Facebook page, which is linked below, and you can send me a message. Like I said, right now I'm kind of like just testing it out, seeing how it's going. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely shoot me a message. Anyway, thank you so much. You guys are great. And thank you especially to my patrons who are helping to like keep this going. You guys are the best. I love you guys so much. And as always, peace and love and rock.